Welcome. Once again, we back. Another episode of Keeping It 9450, Codename WBB. I'm Daniel Artest, K.Dot in the building with me. K.Dot, what's going on? How you doing? What's up?
Hey, yo, what up? What it is? What's popping? Everything's all good. An incredible past weekend we've had in regards to women's basketball. I can't wait to just talk about it. I can't wait to get started. I can't wait to give perspective on what we've analyzed, what we've seen. So let's get it popping.
Yeah, definitely. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the channels and everything that we got going on. The 9450, 265 Media, everything on follow myself, K.Dot. You see our names right there on the screen. That's it. But yeah, K.Dot, we just decided to have a nice little quick show. We'll talk about just basically talk about LSU versus South Carolina. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, K.Dot. We know what we came here for. We came here to talk. We had a nice conversation on the phone earlier today, and we're just going to be unscripted with it. K.Dot, what's your thoughts about this SC LSU game? And hold on, before you give your answer, though, disclaimer, we are not just like South Carolina podcast only people or whatever. We just talk about the big games and stuff, and there was a big game between them. We thought it was going to be a big game, but South Carolina ended up just rattling them from the jump, led wire to wire, ended up winning 88 to 64. And what's your thoughts about that game?
The first thing that I want to say in regards to the game itself is, first off, yeah, the score doesn't depict what was going on. You really had to see and watch the game to see exactly what was going on. So I want to say congratulations to both teams. I know that LSU came off on the losing end, but I saw some fight. I saw some grit in certain stretches of the game that I was really impressed with. But you have to give credit where credit is due, and South Carolina is hands down the best team in the nation. And there's a precedent that has been set in how they've been able to basically get the job done, no matter if it's pretty, no matter if it's ugly, no matter if it's a bloodbath. And I think South Carolina has fit the bill and has definitely taken over in the ranks of women's college basketball as the most dominant team in the country. And I want to just give credit to South Carolina and Coach Don Staley for setting that up. And I want to give credit to Daniel Artest for prophesizing this last year after they won the national championship. In multiple conversations, he felt like the precedent has been set and the team that you saw last year was going to be better this year and they would run the table. And they so far have been doing that, and they've been doing it in a really impressive fashion. So I do want to say congratulations to them on that. My thoughts on the game, it is what it is. Pure dominance from South Carolina from the jump. They got the job done. They understood the assignment. And another quote to say from DA by way of Meek Mill, there's levels to this. And we'll get into details about what we mean by that. But I just think overall it was a great dominant game. Coach Staley had a great plan. And the players, they did what they were supposed to do to prove and show everyone how dominant they are. So what about you?
Like I said, it's levels to this. It's crazy how great South Carolina is. LSU was a good team. They solid as well. But we're going to get into it with their play and stuff. But well, not their play, but just one particular player, and that's Alexis Morris and stuff, who had an amazing game. But the matchup, you know me, Kate, I'm a post player. I say it every time. I'm a post player. I love the work. And I was really looking forward to seeing Angel Reese versus Aliyah Boston in the paint battle. And like Aliyah Boston, brother, she just make other great players look average. It's like Floyd Mayweather, when Floyd Mayweather was fighting all these greats and was making them look average. And that's what Aliyah Boston did to Angel Reese, had her looking very pedestrian. And had Angel quiet, actually. But, Angel passionate about the game. We was talking about that coming in. I love her passion. I love how she approaches the game. And Aliyah just shut it down, and just really useless until they wanted to put a stint on Angel. Then it was over after that. But for the most part, like whatever, like Angel was trying to do with Aliyah, she couldn't do it at all. I'm talking about stopped her every time. It was like, and I was just like, wow. And I was really like, I had to give a props. Like, I know the great player that she is. Like when she took that matchup personal, man. She took that matchup personal. First of all, you're not gonna get your double on me. That's gonna break. And you want to play that back down type of game? Can't move me. Like you said, it's like that Karl Anthony Towns, DeMarcus Cousins picture. Cardi Town trying to post him up, and he's just there looking at him like, "Nah, son." And just I was just like, wow, just watching her Aliyah play. And we was talking about it because you was like, yeah, Brea Bill, National Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm thinking like, I don't know about that no more. The way Aliyah just defends, and you see it now when you see it against a player like Angel, who was putting up the numbers 23 and 15 on the year. So you see it now, even when she's playing, even when Aliyah's playing against great team, she just renders her defender they just be useless.
Yeah. And I don't disagree in regards to the National Defensive Player of the Year. I think that when we're talking about the idea of and the identity of South Carolina, the first thing we talk about is your defense, right? The way they play the game. I don't want to get into the quote unquote physicality of the game because the game is the game, whether you play physical or not.
Yeah,
It's the idea of how you're able to play and overcome that type of play. And South Carolina, they just have the ability to defend. And it all starts with ball pressure. And I believe that from this standpoint, Bree Beal, I mean, she has just been incredible as an on ball defender and has done a marvelous job in being a magnet in the gravitating defense to her peers on the floor as well. You saw Zaya Cook do the same thing in the UConn game. And for Bree Beal, I laugh at this because it reminds me of how I used to play defense in high school. I remember just just wanting to play defense so much that I would just smile at my defender because I knew they wasn't getting past me. And when I saw Bree Beal put the ball pressure on yesterday and was smiling the entire time, I was like, geez, Louise, Papa Cheese. Like, she is clamping down and she let everybody know about it. And what's crazy about South Carolina's defense is no matter what, you get past that first line, you still got two other lines of defenses that are moving on the help side. Aliyah Boston coming with the help side block, Kamilla Cardoso coming with the help side block. And in some cases, you have Victoria Saxton coming as well. But I can't say enough about Aliyah Boston and her footwork on defense. I can't say enough about Aliyah Boston and her pure strength and her extremities in which she is a tree stump. You're not moving Aliyah Boston defensively. And what I saw with Angel Reese, and Angel Reese is an incredible basketball player, extremely aggressive, and knows how to put the ball in the basket. But when you saw Aliyah Boston guard her one on one in the paint, there was nothing that Angel Reese could do. And it was incredible to see. And I was just floored. So I pay nothing but respect to Aliyah Boston. I pay respects to Bree Beal. I also pay respects to the entire South Carolina defense because they were incredible yesterday.
yeah, definitely. A couple other things I want to talk about too. We got to talk about, as I'm looking at my notes real quick, we got to talk about Kamilla Cardoso. I don't know why I ain't got my notes on my screen. I'm sorry, so that's why I'm looking down. My apologies. But Kamilla Cardoso, 7 and 9 from the field yesterday. She had double 18 points, 13 rebounds. Hey, she was bullying Angel Reese too. Listen, and I thought that she was a senior this year coming out. I thought she was coming out this year because I'm like, what's her draft stock? And right now, but next year, and I'm gonna say it right now in front of I'm gonna say it to everybody. This is how I feel about Kamilla Cardoso. She's gonna be an All-American next year, y'all. I'm telling you that right now. The way she improved her game since she came into this school and stuff, and the way since I've seen her since I've been covering women's basketball, it's just like night and day. She already surpassed her rebounds that she had last year. She grabbed like she looks in great shape, but forget all that. It's just the skill set, the level, the higher level. And we talked about it earlier, K.Dot, like the light went on for her. Even against UConn, the light went off. She finally got the eureka light, and she realized, like, hey, okay, I can play on this level. This is what happens when I up my game and I play at a high level. And I just feel like no team has no answer for that. It's going to be tough for a team to beat them when you got Aliyah like that doing her thing defensively, and then just the size, Kamilla, And with the mixture of the skill that she's bringing now, like how you beat that? Like you got you got two centers on the court and Aliyah and Kamilla at times, right? They're never in each other's way. Never in each other's way. Like how you beat that when you got two centers that can play on opposite blocks with one another. And then also Aliyah being the great passer that she is. And also another thing I want to point out is that South Carolina's offense is looking really good now. And they jumper, like we already know what their defense is, but everybody talk about the offense. The offense has actually been looking really good. They play with decisiveness. They already know what they want to do offensively, and they get the job done all the time. And even if they do go through a little mini slump during the game and stuff, they still taking the same shots. I've noticed with Bria Bell too, they leaving her open. She's hitting that open three. And I like that now. Shot mechanics is getting way better. You'll see Bria Bell take 3 or 4 jump shots in a game last year or even earlier this season. And out of those 4 jump shots she would take, it will always look different. Sometimes it's just like, all right, cool, your form is there, but you ain't got no lift. This time you got lift, but your form is off. Now, like she's just shooting the same shot, same motion every time now. And I love the improvement. Like you just see it steadily with every game that you watch of South Carolina, that the game is steadily improving. Like they're hearing the message of Dawn. They're hearing the message of the training staff during their individual workouts. And it's finally, they're seeing it like in real time in their game and stuff. And you see it affecting their offense as a team.
And I strongly agree with what you're saying. One thing that I wanted to say about Kamilla Cardoso is that I am extremely proud of the progress and improvement that I've seen throughout the climax of the season. At first, you would see that in certain inlet passes, there were I don't know if there were jitters. I don't know if it was just a case of butterfingers. At the apex, it would be difficult to catch and she would miss at the right at the rim. But these past few weeks has just been different. And I feel the light switch just flipped. And I know against UConn, it was there. And definitely against LSU, it was there. Every inlet pass that was given to her on the high low, whether it was on the wing being caught at the apex, she was catching, turning, and laying the ball up. I mean, it was like spreading, spreading butter on bread, as easy as it was to her. And I feel like that's the spark that she needed. And it's going to continue in looking for the rest of their regular season run with 4 games left. It's going to be even more of a testament of what Kamilla Cardoso can do. And the same thing that you said about Bree Beal and her shot. More importantly, it's not about shot selection with Bree Beal. It's just about the confidence in her shot making. And she's done that a lot. And I'm extremely proud of her for that too, because now she's taking those shots. And I wanted her to take those shots, and now she's doing it. And not to mention the playmaking of Zaya Cook. Instead of trying to force the issue, she now understands, and it looks like the game has slowed down for her. And from a playmaking standpoint, she has been so much better in understanding different ways to read and react off of her dribble. And
Yep.
it is incredible to watch. And it's just the improvement overall from South Carolina offensively that I am extremely impressed with, because just like you said, you're not gonna go any wrong. You're not gonna do any wrong with their defense. They're always going to defend. But it's just offensively, it's almost there's a click there. And if they continue to click like this, whew, it's gonna be something to watch going into the tournament.
Yeah, I agree. And Zaya Cook, you know what it is, Kate? She learning how to play point guard, actual point guard play, setting the table, making the right read, making the right decision to have her team succeed, leading vocally and everything. But she set the tone off. She scored the first basket of the game. Nice move, was hyped, got the crowd involved. It was packed in Colonial Life.
Yeah,
And
18,000.
18,000, which is crazy. And Zaya Cook is actually learning how to play the point guard role now. She's really for her game up and stuff. Think about it. Dawn Staley is her coach, bro.
Absolutely.
Who else to learn from? What the great Dawn Staley. That's one of the greatest point guards to play this game. And you just see like from the team, like what Dawn Staley just injects in their veins and stuff. But listen, let's talk about LSU real quick. Like we know what Angel Reese did. We got into that. She had 16 points, 4 rebounds. She shot, I think, 5 for 16 or something like that. Like she didn't really have the game that we thought that she was going to have. But and it's funny too, when you think about it, we talk about Alexis Morris real quick, who was just getting buckets. Yeah, but she shot 11 for 29. But you know what? I'm not going to hold that against her because somebody had to score and she had to get the shots up, keep her team successful, or else they would have got the doors blown off of them because that first quarter, I think they went up 18-2.
Yeah.
Alexis had to really just put the team on her back real quick to make that. I think they got it to within 6. It was like 23-29 at one point because of Alexis Morris. And she's a really good player. And I think that with the addition of Angel Reese piping her up all the time, we've seen that video with Angel Reese. Like, hey, you a first round pick. That's how you got to play all the time. Alexis, I like her game. She's really, I think that she was a Kim Mulkey, a holdover from Baylor. I think that she did go to Baylor.
That's correct.
I heard that she was actually kicked up the team, but now she's at LSU putting up double figures and stuff. She got a lot of game. I know the hype is about Angel Reese and stuff, which is warranted. Also, they got another play on there too.
Yeah. And just like you said, Alexis Morris, I think that from a standpoint of, listen, I got to give everything that I can to get my team buckets. That's what she did yesterday. And if I'm not mistaken, she probably had about 16 to 17 points in the first half alone,
Yeah.
probably 11 points in the first quarter. Like, she was really picking her spots. And even though it wasn't as efficient as you would want, that point, as much defense as South Carolina plays, listen, you got to get it where you fit in. And that's exactly what she did. She was able to try to get to her spots, and she was able to hit some tough shots against some great defense. And that's one thing that she wasn't afraid of. And she even tried to, get into the paint. She got blocked a couple times. She was with it.
Yeah.
Every time she got blocked, hey, good block, but I'm still coming at you. And I do believe from a perimeter standpoint, like, she did give Raven and Kiera a little bit of fits. She was able to get her shot off pretty well. But once Rebuild switched on her, that's when it became a little more difficult. But Alexis Morris, I got to give credit where credit is due. Like you said, 23.6 rebounds. She did a phenomenal job in trying to keep her team in it from that perspective, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Angel Reese only had 4 points going into halftime, and she ended up scoring 12 in the second half. And that was something. And to be held to 16 points and 4 rebounds when you've been averaging 23 and a half points per game, 15 rebounds, even going into SEC play, that tells you a lot of how well South Carolina is defensively. And again, most of her shots fell in the second half. She got to the line. A lot of them weren't field goals. I think she went 5 for 15, if I'm not mistaken, from the field. 6 for 9 from free throws. The style of defense that was played was incredible. Victoria Saxton and Kamilla Cardoso were like, listen, you're not Aliyah Edwards. I want to see you shoot that thing. That was the challenge. And she didn't make the adjustment that I thought she could make. And that's what happens when you're pretty much, for lack of better terms, exposed in how your game is. We know you as a physical presence on the block. You know how to handle the ball. You know how to drive to the cup. But that's where that midi comes into play. And that's what separates her from Aliyah Edwards right now, because Aliyah Edwards, she's willing to shoot that shot. And if you're caught sleeping, Aliyah Edwards can take it to the hole, just like you would think Angel Reese would be able to do once she improves in that category as well. And I think she will improve. A solid lefty. She can shoot free throws. So I know if she can shoot free throws, she can do the same thing in the high post and hit those 12-foot jump shots. So I think that's one thing that she would definitely get better at. But at that point in yesterday's game, I mean, they just let her figure out how to shoot. And on top of that, and this is what credits South Carolina's defense even more, is that they allowed her to shoot, but didn't allow her to drive. That's the biggest thing. They defended well enough to where they would give her the jump shot, but when she wanted to drive, they didn't give her the alley to drive. And when she did, she got in trouble. So those are the most important things that stood out to me in that game yesterday. And again, you have to give credit to South Carolina's defense and what they were able to do.
Like we said at the top of the show, defensive effort was elite. They pushed her off the blocks. Then on rebounding, they pushed her under the basket. They pretty much got really physical with her. And I think that, like, she needed that game on. Now she know what she can do. She probably realized, like, all right, cool, I had success here. I had success during these moments and stuff, especially on Victoria Saxton. I'm sorry, but still. She is giving Victoria Saxton business. Come on, we got to play better defense on that or whatever. But now Angel's fine. She'll be all right and everything. Let's move on real quick, K.Dot. We got another big game. I want to say it was on Saturday. Maddie C from Villanova, bro, had a 50 burger, 50 and 10, 20 or 26 shooting, 4 for 6 from three. Damn. I'm sorry, but damn, when you think about it, she leads the nation. I think she averaged on 28 points a game. Who is she? Dang, what's your thought? I seen a little bit of highlights. I was just like, all right, she's a problem. She's a problem. K.Dot. 50, 50, 50, 50.
Yeah, she dropped a 50-piece nugget on Seton Hall. Think that, not to mention, she added 10 rebounds. And oh my God, the efficiency. She was 20 for 26, 4 for 6 from three, 6 for 8 from the free throw line. That was like, that's impressive. There's not a lot you can say about Maggie C. And it's just a case where you gotta shake your head with a slight grin and just say, "Oh, like she's a problem. She's a
Yeah.
problem." And I think that, she's been doing this for a long time. She's led the nation in scoring before, I believe, last year, if I'm not mistaken, and she's leading the nation in scoring, I think, again this year. So I I just think that with someone like her, she's definitely someone you wanna keep an eye out, especially in today's landscape of pro basketball, whether it be in the WNBA or overseas. We're looking at a new age where it's all about pace and space, and it's all about freedom of movement.
Yep.
And I think she's a perfect example of that, because we both know that the NCAA is its own league, right?
Yeah. Fact.
And there's certain intricacies of coaches' philosophies that it doesn't fit the pros. That's why there are only X amount of people who are selected in the draft versus 4,000 student athletes that are playing in college. So I think Maggie, she's going to be all right. And she's just an incredible player overall. Just like you said, averaging close to 28.5 points per game, leading the nation in scoring. She's doing an incredible job, and leading this Villanova team, who,
Yep.
if I'm not mistaken, I believe their record is 22-4, 3-2 in the conference. So, I mean, in that the same conference that they play in with UConn, and they almost beat UConn a couple games prior to that. That was a very real close game. So it's just another thing just to keep an eye out with her, and hopefully the scouts will see what we see.
Yeah. Listen, have game will travel. That's my favorite saying when it comes to basketball. I think that she's going to land pretty fine professionally. She got a lot of skills. She got a lot of skills. Take you inside and out. Baby Kevin Love. Like, for real.
Mhm.
Minnesota Kevin Love. That's crazy. She's been doing this all season and stuff, and she don't really get a lot of the recognition and stuff, but I just had to give her flowers real quick.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Let's move on to the W real quick. There was a big old trade that came
Mhm.
about, and I'm kind of annoyed with it, with the trade, to be honest, from one team's perspective. But I don't know why I ain't got my notes up here. I'm out bad, everybody that's watching this video. But okay, cool. So we had a trade between the New York Liberty, Phoenix Mercury, Dallas Wings, and Chicago Sky. But the main parts of this trade is basically Diamond DeShields and Marina Mabrey. They basically been traded for each other. So Marina goes to Chicago from Dallas. Diamond DeShields is going from, I'm sorry, Marina Mabrey goes from Dallas to Chicago. Diamond DeShields is going to Dallas now. And then Michaela Onyenwere gets traded to Phoenix from New York, and New York got the rights to a Leone Phoebe. That's an overseas player, pretty much. But now that we got the players out the way, it's the trade, the draft picks, K.Dot, that annoyed me. I thought that Chicago they really got fleeced with this one, because they only get a second round pick, a 2024 second round pick from Phoenix, actually, but they gave Dallas to get Marina Mabrey. They gave Diamond DeShields a 2023 first rounder, 2024 first rounder, 2025 first rounder. That'll be a pick swap, pretty much. So basically, the pick swap is the worst team got to give that high pick back, pretty much.
Right.
They just switch picks. That's all it is. But I thought, listen, now, I think, like, when we talk Marina Mabrey, we like her game, right? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
we like her game. I think that she's nice. She's tough. She take no mess, and she's a shooter and stuff. I think that also, at the same time, that Chicago didn't have to give up all those draft picks to get her, though. I don't think they should have did that. Especially that 2024 one. I think the 2024 draft really, especially if you're in the bottom part of the league, the bottom feeders or whatever. I think that because Chicago's gonna be a bottom feeder this year, bro. They're not gonna be that. I know they got some fun players that everybody say online, but fun don't equal wins. After what happened in Chicago, they got obliterated in this offseason, losing Sloop, losing Candace Parker, losing Azare. So for them to give up the mortgage their future for Marina Mabrey is crazy. And that's my thing. I think that Chicago got fleeced. If we have a winner, if we do winners and losers from this trade, I would say that Dallas won this trade and Chicago lost this trade. And Phoenix is second. And I would say New York is third. And I think that Chicago is they just lost this. They just lost this just by the draft picks. They could have just gave up the second rounders, but they gave up their first and second rounds. They mortgaged their future for Marina Mabrey, bro. I just hope that they think that whatever season they think that Marina has, that she has, because that's a lot to give up for her.
Yeah, definitely agree. And what bothered me about Chicago just giving up all of their first round picks is you gave those first round picks to Dallas. My fright is Dallas going to draft another big. Like when we look at, so here's the landscape of it. It looks like Dallas has the third and the fifth pick this year.
We're gonna get 2 more bigs.
So you mean to tell me at the third, the mock drafts right now, it's looking there, it's a flip between, and you don't have you with these mock drafts, I'm gonna just be very transparent. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100. You can't really trust these mock drafts. You really can't because not evaluating the talent, just throwing names out there just based off of how good you are in college. Honestly,
They're not watching basketball.
they're
for
not
K.Dot.
watching
They're not
basketball
watching
at
the
all.
games.
They're not watching. But
Take it how you
if
want.
you're
Y'all don't watch the games. Take it how you want. Y'all
if
don't
you're
watch it. Y'all don't
looking,
watch basketball.
like, no, but you're good, not because it's a fact. If you're looking at the top, those top, it's a swap between Haley Jones right now and Diamond Miller. What do you do? What does Minnesota do? Let's just play scenarios right quick. You tell me that you can possibly get Diamond Miller at 3 if she doesn't go 2 to Minnesota, or you can get Haley Jones at 3 if she doesn't go 2 to Minnesota. Okay, that's cool. But what if Haley Jones does go number 2 to Minnesota and they end up picking the tweener, if you will, in Diamond Miller, 6'3", can go downhill, can also shoot that nice jumper. But she is going to be battling with Tierra McGowan, probably a Watt Coulier, Charlie Collier. Who else? Jeez. Oh, Natasha Howard. I mean, that's 5 that I've already called out. And then you have the 5th pick as well. Where do you go with the 5th pick? Do you go, if you don't get Haley, do you go Rakia Jackson, 6'2", can shoot from the mid-range and outside? What do you do in this situation? And then I even teased at the fact that if you get a high draft pick and something happens and you don't fare well this year and you get a high draft pick, what you gonna do? You gonna get Cameron? What's the agenda here with all of these draft picks? We know that Greg Bibb loves his first round draft picks. It's clear as day that he loves his first round draft picks. But the problem with that is you're you're doing a disservice to the player that you're drafting, especially if they're not going to play and they're not going to develop into the player that we think they can be. That's the unfair part about this whole idea of drafting first round picks. And I don't want to see that for certain players. It's going to be a definite case of interest to see what comes about with these picks, but they clearly, I mean, they won to me the trade in that perspective, right? The thing is, how smart are they going to be in utilizing? Are they going to utilize these trades in another potential trade? We don't know. I don't know if they're going to dangle Charlie Collier out there. We just don't know what's going to happen. And to go back to Phoenix and them acquiring Michaela Onyenwere, I really enjoyed Michaela Onyenwere's game. It's unfortunate that last year she was in and out of the lineup. In her minutes, I think she was pretty productive, but from a standpoint of understanding a different philosophy, different system between Walt Hopkins, which granted her Rookie of the Year, that's no slouch to her. But the difference in philosophies, I think, has changed a lot because Walt Hopkins was more of a, yeah, we're going to play 5 out, hope to get the rebound defensively, run, shoot threes. That's how, we're going to win games. And Sandy Brondello is just completely different, and I think it didn't fare well for her last year, but she'll have good opportunity in Phoenix knowing that BG is back and the possibility of Diana Taurasi being back as well. And then the acquisition reported by Chris Haynes today of Mo Jefferson, who's going to be a pretty good to us, a pretty good insurance package for when Shea Petty actually gets back 100%. And it looks as if Shea Petty is making good progress with that Achilles, and hopefully we'll probably see her in the beginning of the season, but she still will have to get herself acclimated. So I think that from that perspective, just Chicago, just to me, giving up all of those picks in the first round, I was just head scratching to me. And we'll see what they look like this year. They're going to be fun to watch, but I don't know if they're going to win a lot. Um, I hope they prove me wrong because they still got KFC. They acquired Courtney Williams. They were able to re-sign Rebecca Gardner. They got a Stu Dufall back, and they also signed Elizabeth Williams. I think that, and then of course with the acquisition of Marina Mabrey, we'll see what happens. And hopefully Dana Evans gets some minutes this year. We need to see Dana Evans play.
Yeah.
So that's my spill on this entire idea of the trade and everything. I think that Chicago to me just got hosed, and Dallas was Brian Baby Williams in this situation. I don't know how they were just able to finesse those picks from Chicago, but they did it. And they rubbing hands like Birdman right now.
Like this, yeah. Hey, we're gonna buy y'all a fax machine too with this trade. Another compensation, just a fax machine or iPad or something. I'm like, that's crazy. That's crazy. But real quick on Diamond Miller, I think Diamond Miller's on three. She's a little bit too mobile. I think that she can handle in the three and starting in that role or whatever. Like you said, there's a lot of bigs over there that's going to be competing and stuff. You might have to pray to the basketball gods that Haley Jones fall a three. That's the best option to get like some roster consolidation going and get even out the roster and everything. They so post heavy. I think Diamond will be a three in the WNBA. She's a lot of talent. She's pretty good, kid. I really like her game.
Absolutely.
Really, yeah, she's growing on me a lot. Shoot, I don't know what else to talk about. Like what else happened? We got South Carolina out the way with LSU. That trade, Chicago getting hosed, as you said, in that trade. I guess what this is.
Yeah, just to catch everybody up tonight, Indiana, number 2 Indiana and number 13 Ohio State played. Indiana obliterated number 13 Ohio State 83-59. Mackenzie Holmes led IU with 33 points, and McMahon for Ohio State led with 22.6 rebounds. And then Iowa State was able to get the win over number 22 Iowa State was able to get the win on number 17 Texas. Rory Harmon with 19.6 assists, 3 steals. Ashley Jones with 24 points, 8 rebounds. And that was your Monday action for women's college basketball. An incredible fight from Texas, but Iowa State ended up getting that win. And they moved to 8-5 in the Big 12, while Texas fall to 11-3, but still leads the Big 12. And the same thing with Indiana. Indiana moves up in the Big 10 to 14-1. Ohio State falls, and I believe they have lost the last 5 of their last 7, if I'm not mistaken. So they've fallen to 10-5 in the Big 10.
Indiana making a little bit of noise.
Absolutely. And I didn't realize, and shout out to our homie, friend of the network, our counselor, Jeanette Samuel. She let me know that Ohio State is missing 3 important players. Because I tweeted, I was like, did they forgot how to hoop in conference play? What's going on? And I didn't realize that they were missing 3 of their most important players.
Listen, college basketball has so many players, so many teams. Just sometimes your mind just goes bleh.
Yeah.
And then we're covering the WNBA too with that as well. Dealing with that trade. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that trade, I don't like that 14 trade to be honest.
That trade upset me. Now, it upset me more on Chicago's side. Like I'm not giving up my pick in the draft. 2024 is the draft. I'm not giving that pick up. And then 2025 is a great pool of players coming out in 2025 as well. I'm not giving up my pick in that draft. 2023, I don't know. Maybe having 5, maybe, I don't know. And maybe I'm just a GM that just likes his draft picks. But
you like your bigs. You know what? I know they're going 3. Can't wait. 3.
Listen, with Chicago having 5, I could have easily seen them pick Rakia Jackson at 5 so that would give you some major buckets off the bench. Rakia Jackson is good. She's really good. And if you wanted some buckets, then you could have easily gotten some buckets off the bench with Rakia Jackson. I really think she has a pro game right now. Her jump shot is fluid. I like her IQ. It's really something to watch. If you haven't been paying attention to Tennessee, I know they've been up and down this year, but Rakia Jackson has been pretty consistent. I just started at 5. If Rakia is available, that's who you get. And that's who you substitute with all that scoring that Kai and Courtney Williams and Marina Mabrey is going to be able to do if starting from that standpoint. It is what it is.
It is. It definitely is what it is. So I'm just trying to look at the schedule, see what good games is coming up this week. And on the college ranks, see what's going on, see what's happening on Valentine's Day or whatever. No game schedule on Valentine's Day, actually. Everybody's going to get their chocolate covered strawberries. I'm trying to figure it out. Where's the top 25 at? I don't see it. A lot of games. We'll have to run it down. It's mad college games, K.Dot. Jesus Christ. There's just a lot of teams that's playing and stuff. Villanova plays St. John's tomorrow on the 15th, February 15th. I'm definitely going to try to tune into that game. Hopefully, Maggie don't be giving my St. John's buckets. I don't want to see that. 50 ball. It's crazy. She's nice. So, but yeah, all right, let's get on out of here. Thank you for listening to Keeping It 9450. Codename WBB. Don't forget to follow us at the 9450. Don't forget to follow myself and K.Dot. Y'all see the name. Y'all know how to follow us. Don't just spread the word too, by the way. How about that? Get to follow us. Spread the word. Let everybody know that we have a show. This is episode 145 today. Season 3, episode 15. Combine them all together, 145th episode. Okay, now what we gonna do for our 150th episode?
I'm a point guard. I like sharing the wealth. Hopefully we can get a nice guest. Hopefully we can get something in line. And I'm just excited to celebrate 150. It feels like ages ago when we celebrated 100. Shout out to Diamond Johnson for celebrating 100 with us. I really think that 150. To say 2 years ago we had a clubhouse room and we keep talking about it and we're going to keep talking about it. 1,500 people at the max that came through in and out in the idea of, hey, maybe we can muck it on the WNBA side and women's basketball, and we're doing it. And I'm really proud of what we've done so far. We have a lot more in store. It's going to be cool.
I feel like we are the most consistent podcast in the land and covering women's basketball. 150 episodes is crazy.
Yeah.
Really think about it. If you up the weeks, we doing over 2 episodes a week or whatever. Episode 145. But we're gonna figure something out for 150. Hopefully we get a good guest. That's a couple of weeks away. Maybe with the way we record, that could probably be next Monday.
That's true. That's true.
Hey, they lucky this ain't NCAA. We'll be at 150 in 2 days, probably. The way we record. We go
That's
crazy.
a fact.
We go crazy and stuff. But yeah, follow the show, support the show. Let everybody else know that, hey, we got 2 guys over here covering women's basketball that love the game, that know the game, and I want to grow as a show too as well and stuff. Oh yeah, speaking of that, shout out to Miles Ehrlich, shout out to Owen Pence, shout out to the Pull Up Podcast. They just did their first show. They had Kayla Thornton on the show, which is dope. They jumped in the game early.
That's a fact.
Got a great player. I listened to the whole podcast. It was very insightful. You got to give Miles and Owen a shout out though, because listen, when I tell you that Kayla Thornton was hitting them with the one-word answers at the beginning, I was like, I already know how this is going to go. But they kept fighting. They kept fighting and got her to open up and stuff. And then she was dropping some jewels. Like,
absolutely.
She is a very humble basketball player. And they was asking about the Stewie, John Cole Jones, Sloop stuff. And she was just like, listen, I just got to think about one thing at a time. Let me just focus on where I'm at in the NBL in Australia. And when that time comes, that time will come. I was like, I'm paraphrasing or whatever, but I'm listening to, I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to, actually, I really hope to speak to her in the show one. I would love to like just have a conversation with her and everything, because that right there made me an even bigger fan and stuff, just to see that and like how anybody else would have been excited. Let's dedicate You know, you got Jonquel, you got Stewie on the same team. That's crazy. I know everybody. I bet Didi Rich is probably out there just, yeah, let's go.
Right.
I'm sad that Michaela not going to be able to witness this. Right?
It was,
I
yeah.
know you had to, because Michaela probably wasn't going to play that, to be honest. I probably would have been comfortable with that. Let me just get this ring real quick. Can we get this ring? Because it's hard to win W, honestly. And it's going to be hard to win these next couple of years with these super teams and stuff that's coming along, whatever. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough and stuff. But yeah, like the pull up with Owen and Mal was a really good episode. I cannot wait to tap in and stuff like that. You know what, Ken, I was thinking? Maybe we could do a podcast, talk about our favorite women's basketball podcast. You know?
Oh yeah, I'm down for that.
Mark Schindler got a great one. I'll be listening to that a lot.
Yeah.
And stuff. He's really, Mark is just a different, this dude love the game of basketball. I listen to Mark other podcasts too as well, because doing stuff with this guy Sam Bassini and stuff. This other show called The Daily Ding. Like Mark, like he is a freaking machine, a computer when it comes to him talking basketball. So I think we can definitely do a show with that, talk about our favorite women's basketball podcasts and everything. And speaking of that too, I seen the list, K.Dot, the top women's basketball podcast to listen to. We was number 4 in that bad boy. Last year we was 21. This year 4. I ain't really got much to say. That's my sign off. Love is love. Peace.
Peace out.